Too much. Hello, everyone. My name is Andrew Mertig. I have the pleasure of serving as the Associate Director of Outreach, Recruitment, and Admissions for EOP Outreach and Success. And tonight, I have the great honor of introducing your keynote speaker. Irina was born in Ukraine and immigrated to the United States with her parents. She grew up in San Diego and obtained both her bachelor's degree in psychology and master's degree in women's studies. She is also a proud EOP alumna. Irina continued with her education, obtaining her master's degree in sociology from Rice University in Texas, where she then worked as a research analyst for the Houston Education Research Consortium, a nonprofit at Rice University. She has dedicated her research to understanding what factors help immigrant origin students follow their college-going dreams. Her work has been supported by the Immigration Initiative at Harvard University, the Penn Migration Initiative at the University of Pennsylvania, and by the Center for Studies in Higher Education at the University of California, Berkeley. She is currently a PhD candidate in sociology at the University of California, Davis, where her research and tuition are fully supported by the UC Davis Fellowship. Please join me in welcoming Irina Chukhray to the stage.
Congratulations once again. So this is the moment when we start thinking about the future. But before we actually go that route, I'd actually like to invite you to think about the past. Think back for a moment to when you were a kid, and you might have often gotten a question, and that question was, what do you want to be when you grow up? Do you remember what your answer was at the time? I see some nodding heads. I remember my answer. My answer was, I want to be like you, Mom. My mom was very flattered, huge smile on her face. And I remember her response. She said, I want you to be better. Which I think reflects many families, parents' broad definition of families' sentiment for our kids, to be better, to have a better experience for the next generation. Especially if you come from an immigrant family like myself. I was originally born in Ukraine, and as a kid, I came with my family to sunny San Diego. So imagine snowy conditions, and then a lot of sun, almost 70 degrees to be frank. So at the time, being a kid, I had waist-length hair. Of course, chopped it all off. It was too hot for me. We brought quite a few things with us from Ukraine. We brought blankets to keep ourselves warm. We brought china to make sure we had plates and forks to eat with. And we also brought a meat grinder. We brought this because we wanted to make our home food. For example, kotlety, which are a type of Ukrainian meatball. Very delicious meat, onion, and you put it all together, delicious. And this meat grinder was, I want to say, the old style. It's the kind where you have to use your arm to make the meat come out on the other end. My grandmother made it a point when I was growing up to allow me to have the cool adult honor thing of turning that thing to get the meat to come out every time. So I have a strong arm because of that. Also growing up, I was quite often the family translator in different situations. My specialty was dentistry. I'm very good in dentistry unofficially. And looking back on being the family translator, I actually find it kind of interesting that I was the family translator because growing up as a kid, I was pretty quiet, pretty shy. So let's fast forward now to high school. At one point, my parents get a phone call home. Back when we had landlines, they left a voicemail. And the voicemail was from my high school, from the office, and the voicemail says, your daughter has skipped class. So my parents go to school. My parents talk with the teacher, call me over to have a conversation, and it goes like this. My teacher apologizes for marking me absent because I was so quiet in class. So the Shakespearean quote of the eyes are the window to the soul, that teacher didn't really see my eyes. She marked me absent. But another teacher did in that same high school. It was actually an avid teacher, Andy Mangahees, who became part of my village when it was time in high school to apply for college. You might know the proverb, it takes a village to raise a child. I really benefited from that village that included my teachers, my parents' social networks, because when it came time to apply to college, it was a very unfamiliar and mysterious process. At home, we would often have a dinner table conversation almost every single day, and that conversation was about daily things, struggles, and good things, positives. When it came to college, it was often frustrating because of so many differences between back home and here in US. Take, for example, back home in Ukraine, it's kind of a straightforward process, I would say. So imagine you're finishing high school, you take an entrance exam, and going into the entrance exam, you know what score to get. So you know right away, you got in or you didn't. If you didn't, you study again for next year. Very straightforward. So now imagine us finding out, well, now you apply to a few universities, cross your fingers, hope to get in. Very different process, mysterious, and just difficult to understand. So that teacher played a huge role in guiding my parents' hand, guiding my hand in applying to college and other things like financial aid. And beyond that, my teacher encouraged me to apply to EOP. He did so very intentionally. And when I came to EOP, I recognized how intentional everyone in EOP was with what they did. My counselor at the time, who I believe has retired, was Wanda Clay Majors. She was always making it a point to make the hidden curriculum visible, to really demonstrate concretely what to do to be successful on the college campus. She wouldn't say, go to office hours, figure it out. She would give me concrete examples of even what to say to have that conversation, have that relationship with the professor, that when you're first gen, you're coming from a different country, you don't know those things. That's what EOP was about, very intentional. I also met another person through EOP and other events. I've initially met this person at orientation. My parents met this person, and we had a coin name for this person, the man with long hair. Because I was a psychology major, that man who was in psychology advised me to get lab experience, to really get my feet wet since that was my major. I followed up on that. I searched the SDSU website, I found some labs that were of interest to me, got interviewed, that was a process figuring that out, started to work in a lab. That was my very first experience of ever doing research of any kind. I absolutely loved it. I picked up so many skills that are so applicable outside of academia in doing that. I also learned something else along the way, which I would say can be summarized in an Ariana Grande song, Thank You Next, because that was not what I wanted to do. When I was in high school and figuring out how to go to college, I had so many questions. How do immigrant origin students like myself figure this out? Those questions remained with me, and when I figured out how to put myself in a research position, the psych lab wasn't the perfect fit, but I needed to go through that. And thanks to that person, I figured that out. Now, that person is here today. That is Emilio Ulloa, so thank you. On the one hand, I want to say, sorry, kind of threw you under the bus there. You didn't expect that, did you? But on the other hand, thank you, because you helped guide me in a direction that I'm still following today at UC Davis, where I'm a PhD candidate. My dissertation looks at the very questions I had back in high school, trying to understand what are supports and constraints in immigrant origin students' process of going to college. In other words, students like me who came to us before age 18, because get this, there's a lot of information in general about going to college. But if you want to know about what helps immigrant origin students get to college, this much, very little. We're a country of immigrants, aren't we? Especially California, especially San Diego. That really bothers me. So I'm using my position as a doctoral student to answer those questions and not just do research for the sake of research. I'm using this information to hand it over to practitioners in places like EOP, in outreach programs, and in high school programs that are themselves trying to make a difference and help other students get to college. So far, I've shared with you my past experiences that have shaped my present ongoing trajectory. I now would like to offer you 3 ingredients to feed your success based on what I've experienced thus far. My first ingredient for you is to experience exciting things intentionally, because the work week will get to you. I'm curious, by a show of hands, if anyone here is planning to be a business owner or a future CEO. A few. I have something for you. Please take note. The work week, this is my personal wish, should be 3 days and weekends should be 4. I really mean it. Take note, because you are the future. That's something you can actually make happen. Because mental health is critical to our lives. Yes, you need to have experiences that are exciting to you so that you can use them to bring your down day up. Because life will throw you curveballs. So experience exciting things intentionally. Number 2. My second ingredient, keep your mind open to opportunities. Milton Berle said, if opportunity does not knock, build it. Well, let's change that. Let's say, when opportunities don't knock, build many doors so you have many opportunities, and if something doesn't work out, there's one that will. You can use that. Don't stop at one door. You need to have many opportunities. And when I say keep your mind open, that means don't get bogged down by thinking I don't necessarily have the clearest path forward. Well, guess what? You do. That's why we're here today, celebrating you, because your path brought you here. That's why we're here. Your path will continue to unravel, to evolve over a thread of time and luck, over experience, opportunity, and my third ingredient, perseverance. To persevere means to keep going, because stress, it'll always be there. Those unknowns of the future will get this. When you get to that next thing that you're working on 6 months from now, 2 years from now, those unknowns will multiply by 10. So don't get bogged down by those unknowns. My ingredient to you is to persevere and to keep going. So if you put these ingredients together, you'll have a full piggy bank that you can use to expand your village, to help bring you towards your goals. And if you put these ingredients together of experience, opportunity, and perseverance, that actually adds up to EOP, my friends. Once EOP, always EOP. Have you heard that phrase? It's true. I offer you these 3 ingredients to feed you and your next path, your next journey. Take these ingredients and run with it so that in your next journey, you can make your own delicious catlete with your life. Congratulations, graduates.
All right, folks. Give it up again for our keynote speaker. Yes!